I figured it was just the wind and finished up quickly.
That was the wind. That was the wind. Opening and closing that heavy ass door. You can really shut up. Oh God. Okay. A few things. One, my wife is asleep, so you know. Two, it's late. Three, I'm really tired. But like Mr. Nightmare is like one of those, is the only channel outside of like horror and like scary reaction videos that I'll drop everything and go out of my way to react to his videos ASAP. That and like Marvel with trailers, like, but yeah, horror and scary videos. Yeah, Mr. Nightmare is number one. So if I miss anything, I'm sorry. Ooh, I'm tired. Okay. So, no, let's go. Nope. We're on the highway this time. We're on the highway. Okay, let's go. Mr. Morris. Did I say that?
There's a quick check off the highway, not too far away from where I live. It's the only thing open 24/7 in my rural, middle-of-nowhere town.
Oh, Jesus.
It's about a 25-minute drive if I'm speeding.
Jesus. See, we starting off already. Middle of nowhere town. So that means everybody in your town knows each other. Or just about. So that also means if somebody new is in the area, or like a tourist or whatever, they gonna know.
Which I usually am. So to translate for all you city folk, it's basically right next door. My sleep schedule is beyond atrocious, so I've been to that quick check more than a handful of times. I like to think I'm pretty generic looking and nondescript, meaning I blend in well, but it wouldn't surprise me if some of the late night workers recognize me by now. This happened just last week, so most of the details are still painfully fresh in my mind. It was past midnight, and I was coding on my laptop. My productivity and focus peaked between the hours of 9 p.m. and 3 a.m., so I was in that flow state that any hard worker craves.
Okay.
The problem with late night grinding is that you go from perfectly comfortable to dying of hunger in a matter of minutes, which is exactly what prompted me to shut things down and grab something to eat around the reasonable hour of 2 a.m.
Jesus.
Just so you have an understanding of everything, I should mention that the highway leading to the quick check is more of a local road than an interstate, so it's usually pretty dead. The ride there was relatively uneventful. I pulled into the quick check, ordered a sandwich from one of the counters, and roamed the aisles while I waited. The mix of caffeine I'm usually stimmed out on and the ADHD I was born with makes it difficult for me to sit still, so I was just kind of pacing around one of the corners of the store when I noticed something. Facing one of the refrigerators that lined the back of the store was a person sitting crisscross on the ground.
What?
It was such an odd sight that I initially overlooked it.
That person need to go ahead and crisscross their ass away from me. Just keep your distance. That's weird. I'm picturing that. Yeah. It's sort of like, you seeing it is good enough for me. It's not good. It's sort of, just you see it, don't, please, for the love of the Adidas gods, do not go over to that person. Or don't wait for that person to get up and start coming after you. Notice the person for like a hot second and then go ahead about your business.
Snapped my head back around to make sure I hadn't imagined it. And I hadn't. There was literally a person sitting on the ground at the end of the aisle, facing the refrigerator like he was examining it. I couldn't see anything other than the brown coat and jeans he was wearing. I needed to get a better look at this guy.
Why?
At his face, at least. so I walked a few aisles down. My plan was to turn the corner really quickly, get a good look at him, then turn back up one of the aisles, ideally before he noticed me looking. Staring at strangers so explicitly is obviously really rude, so I didn't want him to catch me doing it.
No, it's not. It's not rude unless you suspect the person of cluck activity. You know? If you're just looking at somebody just cause, yeah, that's rude. But if you're looking at them, trying to examine and trying to think about, like, are they gonna do something clucked up? Are they gonna do something that might get me clucked up? Let me go ahead and just stare you down. Let me check you out for a second. What you doing? What's the vibe? Huh? You let me know what you do. Like, yeah.
I was trying to be inconspicuous about it, or at least appear like I was browsing the snacks, but I guess I didn't do a good job of that, because as soon as I turned the corner to look at him, he whipped his head around and stared back at me.
Jesus.
His movement was so abrupt that I actually froze up for a few seconds, forgetting what I was even doing there in the first place. And let me tell you, one look at this guy confirmed he was far from normal. Forget about the sitting on the ground and staring into the refrigerator. This guy was definitely on something, which I could tell from his abnormally wide eyes.
He about to be on you because you keep playing. You mad close to this guy.
The way his lip was vibrating, like it was fully quivering, almost as if he were cold, except it was actually kind of hot in there, and he was also wearing a jacket. His posture was all twisted up too, like he was straining instead of sitting, if that makes any sense. But the worst thing by far was the look he was giving me. He wasn't smiling, and he wasn't scowling either. He was staring blankly at me with this dead-eye stare that made it kind of seem like he actually was dead. The whole scene was freaky as hell. After staring at each other for an uncomfortable amount of time, I finally averted my eyes and dipped up one of the aisles, eager to get my food and leave. It wasn't ready yet, though. I stood at the counter and waited. The anxiety was getting to me.
Come on, brother. Come on. Out of everything that's going on right now, you better grab you some Doritos, some crackers, some chips, some fruit, something. Like, at this point, damn the sandwich, damn that sandwich. Get some snacks and get the hell on.
Angled myself to face the corner of the store where the guy had been sitting. I was half expecting him to emerge from one of the aisles, at which point I'm not sure what I would have done, but he never did. Eventually, my food was ready. I promptly left the store without another thought. I thought that was the end of it, but as I was turning to get back on the highway, I saw something move out of the corner of my eye.
Okay.
I glanced back towards the store and saw a person running full speed from the store entrance to the far end of the parking lot. I was already halfway onto the highway at that point, but as soon as I saw what looked like a brown coat, I knew it was him. As I drove past the quick check, I looked over at it one more time to see that guy was now jumping into a truck.
Jesus.
I didn't even want to imagine what a guy like that could possibly be rushing to do at 2 a.m. I was just happy I had nothing to do with it. I sped off, just wanting to get home in peace. After a few minutes, the last of the fluorescent storefront lights faded into darkness behind me, and I was driving through desolate nothingness once again. I'm used to being the only car on the road when it's that late at night, which is why it was so surprising when I noticed headlights in my rearview mirror. But it was even...
Did you say you had nothing to do with why that guy was running, hauling ass to his truck? Like, you said something like that. Like, what is, like, he said something like, what is he doing, like, at 2 a.m.? You're the reason he's acting like this. What are you talking about? You better speed up. Hey.
surprising when I realized the headlights were getting closer, meaning they were going faster than me, and I wasn't exactly driving the speed limit. My first thought was that I was about to get pulled over, so I instinctively slowed down a bit. The headlights kept approaching, and I knew what was about to happen. Police lights were about to start flashing, and my night was about to be ruined. But once the car finally got close enough, I realized it wasn't a cop. It was that guy from the quick check. It was the same car from the parking lot. I've never been more certain of anything in my life. I slammed my foot back on the gas and got back up to speed. The guy behind me started flashing his lights at me and honking, and I didn't know what to do. Try and outrun him or pull over and just pray that he'd keep going. I was in a sedan and he was driving a pickup truck, so I figured I could outrun him. The faster I went, though, the more terrified I became. I can only describe that feeling as true terror, the feeling that you're literally approaching death. By the time I'd gotten up to 100 miles per hour,
Damn.
the voice in my head was screaming that I was going to die if I kept accelerating. I swerved into the right lane, hoping he'd shoot by me, but instead, he actually swerved to stay behind me. I started slowing down with the intention of pulling over on the shoulder, but the moment I took my foot off the gas, the truck actually rammed into me. I grabbed the wheel to stabilize the...
You see? He wanted to ram something else in you. But y'all just in cars though. Like, you know? When he left that store and hauled ass to his car, to his truck, he was grabbing those condoms for you. You know? But you just so happen to get in your car and now you're like, oh God, now I gotta chase him.
and realized I was in a life or death situation. The guy tailing me was trying to kill me. Everything was happening so fast. I couldn't think. I knew he was going to try ramming me again, and at that speed, I knew I would be lucky not to spin out. I don't know if it was the terror or my survival instincts kicking in, but the moment I saw him go for it, I swerved to the left and slammed on the brakes. The truck shot past me, and I watched as he swerved back and forth a few times before spinning out and shooting off the highway into the field.
Damn.
Despite how violently my hands were shaking and how terrified I was, I forced myself to start driving again. I sped the entire way home. As soon as I got inside, I called the police and reported the incident, although it's not like I could precisely describe where everything had gone down. They took my statement anyway, and I was happy to give it. I know for a fact that Quick Check had security cameras in their parking lot, so I'm pretty confident they'll end up catching that guy. It's only been a week since this happened, but I haven't heard anything yet. My car isn't dinged up too badly, but I still need to get it repaired. As for why in the world that guy had gone after me, your guess is as good as mine.
My guess is that you was clucking with them. Y'all were staring at each other. Like y'all was like some long lost lovers or something. Or like y'all was some exes. That was your exes. Like y'all man, y'all literally locked eyes, staring each other down. Like y'all were eye clucking each other. You're the reason he acted like that. Your guess is as good as mine. Shut up.
I just hope I never see him again.
I hope you do. And I hope he ram you. Pause. No pause.
This happened in the summer of 2022. I was 25 and working what I guess you'd call an unusual logistics job.
What?
I was hauling refurbished electronics and custom PC parts for this last mile delivery startup that was trying to compete with Amazon in weird rural markets. The routes were long and completely erratic. Sometimes I'd be driving for 12 hours straight, often through the night, hitting these remote parts of the Southwest that most delivery companies refuse to touch. The pay was decent enough to make it worth it, and I didn't mind the long drive since I had grown up in a road tripping type family. This particular night, I was deep into the final leg of a Phoenix to Lovington run. It was around 1 in the morning, and I was winding through this desolate stretch of Route 82, past the outskirts of Lincoln National Forest in southern New Mexico. If you've never driven through that area at night, it's hard to describe how isolated it feels. The road is narrow and poorly lit. You might see another car every 20 or 30 minutes if you're lucky, but here's the thing about that particular stretch. It's also the only accessible route cutting through the area for miles. The GPS alternatives would add like 2 hours to the trip, winding you way north through Carrizozo or something like that.
What?
So if you needed to get from point A to point B in that part of New Mexico, you pretty much have to take Route 82. Anyway, I was listening to some true crime podcasts when I rounded this bend and saw a red hatchback awkwardly pulled onto the gravel shoulder with its hazards flashing. I slowed down a bit out of habit. As I got closer,
What do you see? That's where you lost me. You slowed down a bit. Okay. I see the car, and I sped up a bit.
it illuminated a woman standing next to the car. She was holding her phone high in the air like she was trying to catch a signal. My first instinct was to just drive past.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not heartless, but I'm also not naive about the kinds of situations you can walk into in that part of the state at that time of night.
Or any state. Any place. Anywhere.
And I started thinking about my own girlfriend or my sister and how I would want someone to stop if they were stranded in the middle of nowhere. Plus, I wasn't completely defenseless. I had a Glock 43 holstered just under my steering column. I never explicitly got permission from the company to arm myself, but given some of the areas we delivered to, it seemed like common sense to me. I slowed down and cracked the passenger window a couple inches. The woman, who didn't seem much older than me, rushed over immediately and tried my passenger door handle, which was locked.
Wow.
She said she needed a ride to the nearest gas station and claimed her car had just died and she couldn't get anyone on the phone. Her voice had this jittery quality to it, like she was either really stressed or maybe on something. I hesitated for a few seconds.
I'm still on the fact that you slowed down, like you came to a stop, and she immediately went to your truck or your vehicle, and immediately start fidgeting with the passenger side door. I would have just left after that. Like nah, you got it.
The situation felt a little off, but what tipped the scale was knowing I had a firearm within reach. I figured if things got sketchy, I'd be able to handle myself.
Oh, yeah.
So I unlocked the door. She got in quickly and gave me this vague and slightly slurred "thank you so much" without really looking at me. The way she slurred her words made me think she was drunk or maybe a little tipsy, which made me a little cautious. Before driving away, I asked her some obvious questions. Had she hit something, or did the engine cut out, that sort of thing. But she kept deflecting, repeatedly asking me to just drive. Nothing she said really made sense, and I was leaning towards kicking her out of my car the more she talked. I was about to make a decision when I glanced over at her car one more time. To my horror, a man stepped out from behind it like he had been hiding there the whole time. The adrenaline started to kick, and I turned to face forward. There was another figure that had stepped directly in front of the road, about 50 feet in front of us.
50 feet is not, that's really close. In hindsight, that's really close. So you know what? Because I feel like I'm in a cluck situation, I'm breaking bones today. I'm driving over Eggers. I'm backing up. I'm making donuts on your body. Like, I'm getting out of there. And I'm yeeting that woman that's in my car outside also. Because you got it. You got it.
There was something long in his hands, maybe a bat or a pipe. I couldn't tell exactly. He started moving toward my car, and that's when my survival instinct took over. I floored it. I didn't even try to be subtle about it. The woman whipped around to look back and immediately started yelling. Then she reached down and started digging around in her purse for something. I had a feeling I knew what she was looking for, so before things could escalate, I yelled at her to freeze and drew my gun. I didn't point it at her, but instead just rested it on the steering wheel so she could see it. Whatever she had been reaching for, she stopped immediately. I told her not to move, and she didn't. To my surprise, she stopped talking too. She just stared straight ahead with this expression I couldn't read. Luckily for her, we were less than 30 minutes from Artesia. After a somewhat tense half hour, I pulled into a gas station.
She was after what just happened? She's in your car. She was in your car for 30 minutes? No, you're not. You're not. No. No. Unless you're keeping her hostage, no. No. What the?
There were 2 other vehicles in the lot, both big rigs. I told her to get out. She refused at first and gave me some stupid reason I can't remember, but I leaned across her, yanked the passenger door open, and basically forced her out of the truck. She stumbled back and fell onto the pavement, all the while yelling something completely incomprehensible. Someone started jogging over, probably one of the truckers, and I could already envision the accusations that were about to fly. All that guy had seen was me throwing a woman out of the car, and I didn't want to deal with the situation for a second longer, so I didn't. I yelled out a warning to him about her ill intentions, but that was all I was going to do. Then I peeled out of the lot before that guy could approach me and didn't look back. I drove to another gas station and started filling my tank. Then I walked over to the passenger side to inspect the seat. Buried between the seat cushions was a burner phone battery and a sealed pack of zip ties. I didn't even want to think about it. I tossed all of it in the trash and got back on the road, eager to be done with the journey. I never reported any of it, not to the police, and definitely not to my company. Not because I didn't think it was worth reporting, but because, legally speaking, I didn't really want to explain to a bunch of cops why I was driving around armed, or why I'd physically removed someone from my car. I'm not going to get into it, but you can connect the dots on that one yourself. One thing's for sure, though. Being armed that night may have very well saved my life.
I'm throwing her out the car. What are you talking? Like, what?
This happened about 3 years ago when my husband and I were driving cross country from Utah to Georgia. Although the route we had mapped out wasn't the most direct, it passed through some places my husband really wanted to visit. The downside of that, though, was that we'd be cutting through some pretty desolate stretches of highway. The worst part was this section of western Kansas along US Route 400, basically 100 miles of nothing but farmland.
Jesus.
We'd been driving for most of the day, and I had fallen asleep in the passenger seat sometime around sunset. I'm one of those people who can sleep anywhere in a moving car, so I was out cold for a few hours. Around 10 at night, I woke up to the car slowing down and realized my husband had pulled into this tiny gas station.
Hey, speaking about waking up to cars slowing down, has anybody ever experienced, I would say when you were like a child, I don't know how old you are now, but like, or even, I guess it doesn't really matter how old you are, but like, you ever be like, sleep in the car, and it's like, I don't know how to explain this, but like, let's say you taking a road trip, or you coming back from somewhere far, and you're asleep in the car, like in the back seat, in the passenger seat, and right before you get home, you're in the complex of your home, right? Or you about to pull up, and you just wake up, or you wake up like a minute or two before you actually get to your house. Like nobody wakes you up. But it's like your body knows you're almost home. I don't know if that's like just your house or if that's like anywhere you go. But I remember like taking road trips when I was younger and coming back to my house and I'm sleep on the road, but then like right when I get in my complex, I wake up. That's weird. Why would it, like, I don't understand that.
Side of the highway. My husband said he was going to grab some snacks and fill up the tank. I figured it might have been my last chance for a while to use a real bathroom, so I got out and headed inside.
Yeah, Papa Squad.
I didn't bother bringing my phone or purse with me.
Wow.
I mean, I was just going to be in and out, so I didn't really see the need.
Wow.
The cashier was this older guy who didn't even look up when I walked in. The bathrooms were tucked down this narrow side hallway toward the back of the store. As I opened the women's restroom door, I almost bumped right into this woman who was coming out of one of the stalls, which wouldn't have been that noteworthy were it not for what she looked like. She had messy, unkempt gray hair that frankly looked kind of disgusting and oddly sticky. She was also wearing these foam flip-flops that made this soft slapping sound when she walked. As if that wasn't bizarre enough, what stood out the most was this thick purple and green coat she was wrapped in. Let me remind you, we were in Kansas in the middle of summer, and it was probably 80 degrees out. She was carrying this tied-up plastic grocery bag, and when she saw me, she just stared. Not like a normal, oh, excuse me kind of look, but this locked-on stare that felt weirdly expectant, like she was waiting for me to say or do something specific. I didn't know what I was expected to do, so I just gave her a polite nod and tried to step around her, but she didn't exactly rush to let me through. I figured that was the end of it, that she'd leave me and I could get on with my life. But no, instead of leaving, the woman actually turned around to follow me and stepped toward the sink area. But she didn't turn on the water or look in the mirror or do any of the normal things you do at a sink. She just stood there with her arms at her sides, like she was again waiting for me to do something. I was already feeling uneasy, so I went into the nearest stall and locked it. The second I sat down, I immediately regretted not bringing my phone or anything with me. I had no way to text my husband if something went wrong, and I was starting to get the feeling that something was definitely off about this woman. I sat there for what felt like a few minutes, just waiting for her to leave. Eventually, I heard the soft slap of her flip-flops moving toward the door, and the sound of the bathroom door opening and slamming shut.
Is she gone?
I waited a few extra moments to make sure she was really gone. And then I realized something. I could still hear breathing.
Oh my God.
Not my own. Someone else's, coming from somewhere in the bathroom. It dawned on me that she had faked leaving.
No, it dawned on me because all of the heavy breathing, it dawned on me that she getting one off. I knew she didn't leave.
She must have opened and slammed the door to make it seem like she left, but she was still in there, standing silently somewhere near the exit, probably in the corner by the door, just out of my line of sight. I didn't move. I sat in complete silence for a really long time, trying to quiet my breathing because I was terrified at the thought of her hearing me. The whole time, I kept thinking about how stupid I was for not bringing my phone. Eventually, the door was opened and closed again. The breathing stopped too, which sent a wave of relief over me. I still wasn't completely convinced though, so I waited for another half minute or so. Just as I was about to unlock the stall, I heard a huge gasp, like someone had just been holding their breath, followed by the bathroom door opening and closing again. That's when I truly started freaking out. That woman had pretended to leave the bathroom twice. I had absolutely no idea what she wanted, but the fact that she was playing these games with me made it clear that whatever it wasn't good. I didn't know what to do. Part of me was sure she was gone, but if she...
Man. You're literally trapped between a rock and a hard place. If I was you, if there's no windows, cause like some public restrooms have like windows that, that lead outside. If there's no windows, if I was you, I'm taking a leap of faith. I'm opening up that door to the air, and I'm hauling ass out the bathroom. I might push you. I might just, if you're in my way, you're gonna get hurt.
Pretended to leave twice. It wasn't crazy to assume she had done it a third time. Finally, the suspense was killing me, and I couldn't take it anymore. I unlocked the stall as quietly as I could and stepped out, fully expecting to see her standing there, but the bathroom was empty. I washed my hands as quickly as possible and stepped out of the bathroom. I had no idea where the woman had gone or if she was waiting for me somewhere else in the store. When I got back to the main part of the store, there was this large man checking out at the counter. I lingered by one of the racks near the front until he finished his transaction and walked out. Then I used him as cover to exit the store. I figured if the woman was waiting outside, at least there would be another person around. Part of me thought I was being overly paranoid, but that thought was shattered the moment I stepped outside. As soon as I exited the store, I saw her again. She was lingering off to the side of the front entrance of the store, this time clearly glaring at me. She was holding something in her hand that I couldn't quite make out. It looked like a knife, but I wasn't sure. The way she was holding it, though, and the way she was slightly crouched, like she was preparing to spring, honestly made it seem like she was about to attack me. I prepared myself to have to scream or run or even fight, but instead of moving toward me, the woman quickly turned and walked around the side of the building toward the back. I ran to our car and got in as fast as I could. My husband looked confused and asked what had taken me so long. I told him I'd explain once we were back on the road. He didn't question me and just pulled away. As we were leaving, I looked back and saw the woman standing at the edge of the building, watching our car. I don't know why, but seeing her made me so unsettled and uncomfortable.
You don't know why? What are you talking about? Like, you just didn't experience the most chilling thing you ever experienced in the bathroom. You don't know why. Okay.
I told my husband everything, and he kind of got mad at me for not bringing my phone with me to call him for help, which was fair. But that was that, and the two of us agreed to try and forget about the whole thing and go back to enjoying ourselves.
You can't forget that.
I will say that I don't use roadside restrooms anymore, which I'm not in the slightest bit upset about.
I mean, you could. It's just, you learn from your mistakes and bring your phone next time and be prepared.
This happened to me in 2020. I was 24 at the time, working for a small logistics company. My job was to deliver automotive parts between cities in the Midwest. Most of the time it was easy work, long drives, decent pay, and nobody breathing down my neck. But that job is also the reason I will never stop at a highway rest area after dark again. It was mid-January, freezing cold, the kind of night where even the dashboard lights feel too bright. I was driving along the I-80 heading east from Des Moines, on my way to deliver a package to Davenport. The drive was about 3.5 hours. I had left around 8 p.m., and by 10:30 I was in the middle of nowhere. Just the sound of the tires on the asphalt and the occasional semi blowing by in the opposite lane. Around that time, I started to get really drowsy. My eyelids felt heavy, and I could feel myself zoning out. I spotted one of those blue rest areas.
You see, I've taken I have my fair share amount of road trips and just driving long distances, to the point that if I know how long it's going to take, I'm going to take some precautionary measures. You know, I'm going to have some snacks, I'm going to have some gum, I'm going to have some 5-hour energies. You know, for me, those work. I don't know about you. But, see, that's where you clocked up at. Like, you knew how long the trip was going to be. You know? Even if you didn't. No, you did. You did. You could have prepared yourself.
Mile signs, and decided to pull off for a few minutes to stretch my legs and grab a drink from the vending machine. The rest stop looked completely deserted. A few dim streetlights, a small brick building with restrooms, and about a dozen parking spaces. Only one other vehicle was there. An old white van parked way off at the end of the lot, lights off.
Sus.
I parked under one of the lights, locked the truck, and went inside. The men's room smelled faintly of cleaning solution and mildew, The heater was making a weird rattling noise. I washed my face with cold water to wake up.
Ew.
And when I looked up into the mirror, I thought I heard the door open behind me. I turned, but no one was there. I stood still for a second, just listening, but there was nothing but the hum of the heater. I figured it was just the wind and finished up quickly.
That was the wind. That was the wind. Opening and closing that heavy ass door. You can really shut up.
When I stepped outside, I noticed something that made me stop. The white van's headlights were now on.
Okay.
The engine wasn't running, but the lights were on. I didn't remember hearing it start. I got this bad feeling immediately. I unlocked my truck fast, then I climbed in and started the engine. I pulled out of the parking space and headed toward the exit.
Okay.
As I did, the van's lights suddenly shut off again. I remember thinking maybe someone was sleeping in there and just accidentally hit the lights. But as I got back on the highway, I kept checking my mirrors. For about 5 minutes, nothing happened. Then, in the distance behind me, I saw headlights. 2 small dots getting closer. It was the van. At first, I wasn't sure, but as it got closer, I could see it was the same boxy white van. No company logo, no side windows, just a dirty cargo van. It caught up to me fast and got right on my tail. I was already going about 75, but the van stayed inches behind my bumper. Then it switched lanes, sped up beside me, and matched my speed.
Okay.
The driver rolled down his window halfway. I could barely see his face, just a shadow and maybe a baseball cap. He motioned for me to roll mine down, but I didn't. He kept gesturing and then pointed at my truck bed, like he was trying to tell me something was wrong. At first, I hesitated. Maybe one of my straps had come loose or something fell out, but then I noticed something that didn't make sense. There was nothing in the bed of the truck. It was completely empty. That's when I realized he wasn't trying to warn me. I kept driving, pretending not to notice him, but he started honking and drifting closer to my lane. I swerved slightly to keep distance, and he sped ahead, cutting in front of me. For a second, I thought he was going to slam on the brakes, but then, without warning, he veered onto the shoulder and came to a full stop. I flew past him, my heart pounding. I stayed in the fast lane, going nearly 90 now, just trying to get away. A few seconds later, I checked my mirror again. The van was back on the road. It followed me for another 20 miles.
Jesus.
Sometimes it would fade back until I couldn't see it. Then out of nowhere, it would speed up again and appear right behind me. I decided I needed to stop somewhere public. The next sign said there was a truck stop 5 miles ahead. I took that exit first, pulled into the lot, and parked right under a bright light near the diesel pumps. There were a few semis lined up, and I could see a few drivers inside through the windows of the diner next door. The van didn't pull in immediately. I waited maybe 2 minutes. Then it came slowly up the ramp and into the lot. I got out of my truck and headed straight into the diner. As soon as I walked in, the bell above the door rang, and the woman behind the counter looked up. She was maybe in her 50s. I told her that a van had been following me for the last half hour.
Why would you say that? Why would you say that? Why? Now everybody in that diner, everybody in that restaurant is about to, come on, man.
And she must have seen how shaken I was because she called over the trucker sitting at the counter. This guy stood up. Huge guy. Flannel shirt, gray beard. He walked outside with me, and the second we stepped out, we saw the van idling at the far end of the lot.
Nope. Because if I was that guy, I'm walking out with you, pushing you more, and I'm locking everything, and I'm checking the checklist and make sure you're not coming back inside. Because that was crazy. Why would you come back? Why would you bring that cluck stuff over here to more people? You lucky I didn't cluck you up, because that was stupid. No. If we really thought we were about to help you, you're dumber than what I thought you were.
There. facing my truck. The trucker muttered something like, "Yeah, that ain't good," and told me to go back inside. He walked straight toward the van. I didn't hear what he said, but a few seconds later, the van suddenly reversed, swung around, and peeled out of the lot, heading back toward the highway. The trucker came back, shaking his head. He said there were 2 guys in there, both wearing hoodies, both just staring straight ahead, not saying a word. I stayed in that diner for almost an hour, until I was sure they were gone. I finished the rest of my drive with my eyes glued to the rearview mirror. When I got back to Davenport, I parked under the hotel lights and checked my truck. Everything was fine, but there were 2 smudges on the tailgate, like someone had tried to open it with dirty hands. I quit that job a few months later. Now, every time I drive long distance, I fill up before dark, bring snacks, and I don't stop unless it's somewhere crowded and open 24 hours. Because I know for a fact, if I had rolled down that window or pulled over when they told me to, I wouldn't be here telling the story.
Yeah, but you also forgot the fact that every time you see a white van with no like a white van that we just saw, without no logos, without no windows, or like that minimum windows, dark tints. You forgot to mention, if you see something like that, to drop everything and to haul it. You forgot to mention that part. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if you have to if you're on a road trip or you're going long distances and you have to pee. What's the best option? To pull over on the side of the road and pee, and then go back in your car and drive, or to go to stop at a gas station or stop at a rest area. But if you're in the middle of nowhere, or if it's very rural, you can't really trust that. If you need some gas, if you need some snacks, and you stopping at a random gas station, or at least stopping at a random rest area, and they look broken down, they look like they don't keep up with the business. If it looks sketchy, I'm not, like with that lady in that restroom, in that gas station, or I don't know what she was in. Yeah, gas station. I'm not waiting. It's like you waited 10, 15 minutes. Because you were scared. I'm not waiting that long. I'm not. I'm opening up that bathroom stall and I'm hauling ass. If you're in my way, you're gonna get hurt. That's just the way it is. And some of y'all knew to stock up on snacks and drinks and energy drinks and stuff like that. But you didn't. Which caused you to stop at a rest area. Which caused you to stop at a gas station. Which caused you to stop somewhere. I'm tired. I'm losing my train of thought. I think I said what I needed to say. Sometimes when I'm tired, if I'm really tired, I just talk just to talk. But y'all just okay. Keep it cool, keep it classy, and I love you. Stay happy. My family.